What up, everybody? Back for part 2 of our draft live stream. We just had the Chargers draft at pick number 22, so we're 10 picks out from the Chiefs, or they'll be in 10 picks. Marty's here with us now. Sound like you're a little bit surprised at the way things got. I don't know if that any players, no shocking players necessarily, but certainly not a ton of activity. Only trade up we saw was from 5 to 2 when Jacksonville traded with Cleveland. No Shadur Sanders off the board. Looks like Cam Ward really might be the only quarterback off the board. What's your biggest surprise so far?
Well, I feel like Shadur not being drafted at this point is a big surprise for everybody.
The Steelers were kind of his last chance
Yeah,
at pick 21.
at least,
They took Derek
really-
Harmon, by the way, who I
Yeah.
really thought the Chiefs might go for. So.
Right here, in the first round, I'm a little shocked. I feel like it's very defense heavy. I don't know
A little bit, yeah.
but it feels that way. I don't know. I'm curious to see what the Chiefs do. Obviously, whatever, left tackle was a big problem for us last year. And now that we don't have Joe Tooney, whatever.
Yeah, Tooney.
Yeah, I'm tired.
They could use another guard upgrade too.
They
I'd rather
could,
wait till the later rounds
Yeah,
for that.
because it was nice that he could slide out there kind of at the end and do the job effectively. Very well actually.
We just saw our second running back taken. The Raiders and the Chargers took running backs, so two division rivals. You had the Raiders take Genty earlier,
Yeah.
and then Hampton from North Carolina just went to L.A. I believe we're about to get another pick.
The Chargers.
Yep. Are we about to get another pick?
Green Bay, they're still on the board. Got a couple.
Thought I heard Goodell's voice, but it's hard to tell.
Tense.
Yeah, so no interior, no D tackles, I don't think. I don't think it'll be D tackle for the Chiefs. You had Kenneth Grant go to the Dolphins at 13th out of Michigan. Graham, of course, from Michigan as well, went in the top 10. That was expected. But then Nolan went off the board, and I believe at 16. I was recording when that happened. I believe that was Atlanta that took Nolan. And then just a couple picks ago, Harmon from Oregon went to the Steelers. So I think it might be one of the edges. Again, those are guys that are more projected to be rotational or, high floor, lower ceiling guys, kind of like George Karlaftis, not going to pick up a ton of sacks, but good, dependable guys that play a lot of snaps.
Yep.
So there's a guy named Nick Skirton. I saw him mocked to the Chiefs a few times that could go. I agree, though. I think offensive tackle is going to be the move. There's two Joshes at offensive tackle, by the way, that we should keep in mind as we watch these next few picks for the Chiefs. Simmons from Ohio State, where, he would have probably been gone in the top 10 or maybe even been the first tackle off the board if it weren't for his injury.
Yeah.
And then you got another guy from Oregon, actually. So we just had Harmon go to Pittsburgh. But Oregon has a offensive tackle named Josh Connerly Jr. that's been mocked to around the Chiefs pick. But yeah, I mean, it has been a bit all over the place. You never know where guys like that will go. Like Walter Nolan, the D tackle from Ole Miss, probably the best pass rushing tackle in the draft. I saw one draft board that had him mocked going to the Eagles at 32 right after the Chiefs. That actually had the Chiefs passing on him, but he went at 16. So he went, in the middle of the first round. So there is a lot of moving around on this board. I don't think there's been anybody who. Yeah, I don't think there's been anybody who nobody expected to be drafted in the first round, but there might have been some guys that went off the board a little early, and then
just expected them.
a couple guys that like Sanders that we thought might be gone by now that are still there.
Yeah.
So let's see. Next up, we have the hometown Packers drafting, I believe. Isn't that right? Yeah.
Yep. Pick is in. Harden's not out there yet.
I was bummed the Steelers didn't trade that pick to try to. I'm bummed if the Steelers didn't want Sanders. I'm bummed nobody else traded with them because that was what was going to let Harmon fall a little more. But the Steelers grabbed him.
Babe.
Yeah, I was hoping he might get quarterback crazy, but I don't think either one of us think he's going to be much in the NFL. By the way, I don't think either one of us are giant fans of the Travis Hunter thing too. I certainly don't love what Jacksonville's doing, trading up, giving up a bunch of capital, and then sounds like they're going to play him at receiver, which most people thought if he was going to choose a position, it would be corner.
I feel like they were going to start him there and then have him play some snaps.
Some at corner, yeah.
Yeah,
I think most
that'll
people
be an easier transition for him than offense.
most people seem
They'll
to
focus him in there.
seem to think Well, they are going to start him on offense with just a
Yeah.
little bit on. Most people seem to think his best upside was at corner on defense.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how much I love that. And I don't necessarily buy the whole two-way thing.
Yeah.
Either. You know, it's tough enough in baseball to pitch and hit. And then, you know, in football, when everything's contact, I mean,
Yeah, I heard some talking heads, I think it was on ESPN earlier, saying something about, you know, the NFL is slower than college. College is very fast.
it's between plays. Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
And the in
so
play is much faster.
They feel like he would be able to do so. Guys, announce. Mark Murphy.
That's the Packers president.
Yeah, he's going to announce.
And we've got big old Keen in the frame now. He's
Hi,
apparently, he
Keenford.
wants some football. You want to talk some football, buddy?
I know.
Back up. Out of the camera.
Very sweet, but you got to go, buddy.
Go tell Roger Goodell to save a good pick for us, okay?
The booze. Lay down.
Come on, big boy. Off you go.
Oh, he wants
I think that's going to be a receiver.
Yeah.
Or maybe an offensive lineman. They need to get a new stalwart left tackle in town now that Bakhtiari's gone. A lot of people liked Shamar Stewart to go to them, but he went to Cincinnati a few picks ago, a defensive end.
Yeah.
That Matthew Golden took?
They did.
Nice, Matthew Golden, I called it.
Good job.
Yeah, most people had Golden going in the top 20. You're right.
Yep.
So Golden goes to the hometown, the host of this NFL draft, Green Bay Packers. Hopefully that goes a little better for them than the Chiefs' hometown pick a couple of years ago. The Felix Anudike-Uzomah out of K-State, who's not managed to see the field much in his first 2 years. Well, at this point, I think we're hoping for one of the two Joshes. You know, if they took Nick Scorton or a couple of the other edge players, edge rushers that are kind of more, you know, like I said, best way to describe them is low ceiling, high floor guys. Guys like George Karlaftis who good, dependable against the run, generally stay healthy, just limited in terms of how many sacks they might pick up. You're not freakishly gifted pass rushers. I could live with that, though, you know, you can easily end up taking a guy who turns into a second or third round talent in the first round when you do that. I'm thinking Simmons or Connerly are going to be what I'm going for. We'll see. Now we're getting into the playoff teams, of course, so it's, you know, they're more going for specific needs. You know, another offensive guard, we talked about Booker went to Dallas back at like pick 12 from Alabama, and then, oh gosh, I always butcher this guy's name, Gray Zabel. There you go. The
North Dakota
guard,
State.
yeah, from the small school, from the FCS ranks at North Dakota State. He went in the top 20 as well, where a lot of people thought a team like Washington at like 28 might snag him.
Yeah.
So it's going to get a little dicier to have any of the blue chip talents fall to you at this point. By the way, if you're hearing all the clattering in the background, Serena is trying to recreate the Costco chicken bake, because that's one of the best food court items around.
Big Justice.
I assume that's similar to the chicken melts that you're always eating, isn't it?
I don't know. They're
You ever had the chicken bake from Costco?
No.
You're gonna shit when you see the size comparison.
Oh my god.
It's so fucking big.
I do know about Big Justice and AJ and the Rizzler and the double chocolate cookies and the Big Booms. Yeah. And they love, Big Justice loves Costco chicken bake. I've never had one.
Well,
But,
you get your chicken bake when you're done.
but I know what it is.
Well, NFC North teams drafting back to back. The wiener dog is causing trouble.
He's trying to drink my McDonald's.
Kevin, you definitely do not need any more caffeine. Or any more. You don't need caffeine. You don't need any more energy. I'll make it sound like you're just feeding him caffeine on the reg.
I do. And drugs.
No, that's Bear.
Oh,
Bear's the one that gets drugs.
That's pretty bad. Yeah.
Very hairy.
What happens?
By the way, Keen definitely got some. He wanted on camera.
I did see
You
the
saw that,
airtime
okay,
he got.
yeah.
If anyone deserves airtime,
It's him.
If he wants to, we can do dog therapy on camera sometime. We'll have our little therapy session where we talk like big boys.
I love it. He's side-eyeing. He has nothing to do with this.
He goes on camera and then he just makes zero sound when he's noisy as fuck the whole rest of the time.
Stage fright.
Yeah.
Camera shy.
He just suddenly starts breathing like a normal dog without, like, creating a ripple of air throughout the whole room.
I like the face you made of Kevin sneezing, Marty. You're just like,
Oh, there he is.
come on.
Is Kevin on camera now, too?
I think so.
He's sitting with
He might be. What if his whole body just goes below the frame and he's just invisible?
I think he's attracted to the blanket on my lap.
It smells like snacks.
Get in the warm spot.
Hey, girl. Can I go between your legs?
Marty's
Oh my
like,
God. Kevin's a little horny dog, you know. Thank God.
that is the deal breaker. So you can't handle the slimy ears either.
No.
Nobody wants that. I can barely handle
For me, it's that, and then I don't know. Like I have to be really careful to avoid the tail because then immediately I get like, oh, mouse in the house.
Yes, yeah.
it. Gives rat vibes. We're hitting 13 minutes on this.
Yeah, well, definitely. This whole thing won't be able to go on TikTok. But
No, we'll have
honestly, this is prime YouTube content though. Where us just kind of sitting here like,
I agree.
all right, 24th fit. Minnesota regard. A lot of those duplicate schools, of course, going. You had a couple Penn State guys go in the top 10. Well, I guess Warren fell out of the top 10 a little bit to Indianapolis, the other tight end, because the Colston Loveland. Where did he go, Marty? I butchered that. Where was Loveland, the first tight end off the board from? Where did he go to college? But yeah, we'd have a couple Penn State.
upstairs, actually.
We got a couple Penn Staters that have gone. We've had a couple Ohio Staters, a couple Texas guys.
What a dingus. He looks so cute. Is that how cute he looks when I hold him?
Yes.
Oh my God.
He's a very cute man. Okay.
He's just a little baby. He's
Sorry.
Like, what the fudge?
Sorry.
The hairball is
You
now on
gotta
camera.
run away from me.
Every dog will make it into the camera tonight.
Colson level.
Very pretty and around the photogenic thing.
Michigan, that's right, because he went to the Bears, so there was some controversy there from
Yes. Yeah, he
because Ben Johnson might have liked him from Detroit. From Detroit now in
Yeah.
Chicago. Ben Johnson might have liked him because of those roots.
yeah.
Right, he went to the Colts a couple picks later.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've had a couple Penn Staters, a couple Ohio State guys go. Right, that's how a lot of boards had him. Yeah, they had them both in the top like 15 to 20.
Yeah. It's crazy. I'm also curious to see what Jackson Dart is.
Yeah, another example of a quarterback who some people thought might at least go in the first round, but
Yeah.
I think we're really going to get out of the first round with only one.
One.
'Cause I don't see
Yeah.
a team trading up at this point.
No. I mean, I don't see why. Honestly, I don't.
Even if the Chiefs, like I talked about the possibility of, oh my goodness, I talked about the possibility of the Chiefs trading out of the first round still, which I guess still could happen, but I don't think it would be. I don't think the team trading up with the Chiefs. I don't think it would be for a quarterback. I think the Chiefs would just be saying, would just be going for quantity over quality at that point, trying to get more
Exactly,
picks because they do have that big gap. They have the the fourth round pick at 133, and then they don't have basically another 100 picks before they pick again in the seventh round at 226.
Yeah.
So like a 93 pick gap there. 33 to 2. Yeah, 93. Yeah. So could try to get a fifth or a sixth somewhere in there. That was some praise word choice right there.
Pause it in my pants.
Pause it in my pants. Realize what?
The Giants have another pick this round. The Texans. The Texans were supposed to pick at 25.
That's right. The Texans traded that pick. Was that part of the Will Anderson thing when they traded up to get Stroud?
I don't
Or not?
know.
Well, after they got Stroud a couple years ago, because that was in the draft here in 2023. So I don't know if it would have been that far out.
I don't know, because it was up on there. It was Houston up
What did
until
they-
right now when I looked.
Who would the? Maybe it just happened. Maybe it was a trade in real time.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm thinking. I'm curious.
I'm trying to think what. Trying to think if Houston made a big trade with New York.
I don't remember hearing anything. Like my sense.
They traded Tunzel to the Commanders, but they would have gotten picks in that. I think this must have been a trade now in live in real time. Right, yeah, they must have traded it. Okay, so the Giants
here. It's got Texans at 25.
the Giants got Abdul Carter from Penn State with the third pick earlier.
Yeah.
So now they're trading back into the draft at pick number, I believe, is it 25 we're about to have?
Yes. Yeah. Because I was very confused when I saw
The Giants.
Yeah, up on there. I was like, wait.
So much for not going to have a trade up.
Well, because on my little thing, it's got potentially Josh Simmons going to the Houstons in that situation.
Oh, which would make sense because they traded Tunsil, their original left tackle.
Yeah. So.
And I don't think the Giants have an acute need for an offensive tackle because they've drafted a couple the last few years.
Yeah.
Could be wrong, but
I mean, yeah, who knows? But I'm hoping.
Now that could be big because you're right. Houston probably would have been one of the last big destinations for Simmons between this pick and the Chiefs. So
Yeah.
you never know. Somebody could always want a reclamation project. Well, folks, we're just about to return for what should be the last segment of the first round. Should have the Chiefs pick coming up very shortly. We just saw the Lions drafted pick 28, took a defensive tackle out of Ohio State, maybe one of the first ones that most didn't expect to go in the first round. So a bit of a surprise pick there. And then we talked to you about the trade up that we were assuming we were seeing in real time, which was the Texans traded pick 25 to the Giants, who took Jackson Dart. So we did have another quarterback go. So another thing that could have let Simmons and Connerly, kind of the two premier offensive tackles left, that could help them fall to the Chiefs. And then Falcons also traded back into the first round at 26. That was to take James Pierce, so you had another edge out of Georgia. So we've had 3 of those go in the first round. And then we just had picks 27 and 28, pretty unremarkable picks there from Detroit there in that last spot. So we've just got 2 picks to go. So I believe that would be Washington and Buffalo.
Yep.
Washington's first, right? I believe 29.
Their
and Buffalo's
pick is,
30th.
their pick is in.
Pick is officially in, yeah.
So, just waiting. But I'm.
I don't think they'll take Simmons or Connerly, one of the two offensive tackles, because they just traded for Tunsil from the Texans. Surprised the Texans maybe didn't take one of the two Joshes at offensive tackle after trading Tunsil away, but they decided to trade out of the first round.
Yeah. I mean, if we ever pick a both, who do you think we're picking?
Oh, that's a tough one. Simmons is more talented. Like I said, he might have been the first tackle off the board if he were healthy. Connerly is kind of known as a special athlete at offensive tackle, which the Chiefs haven't had for a while since like Eric Fisher. So I could see him going either way. Simmons, I think, is your more prototypical what you look for in left tackle. Like has the power, the upper body power that you look for in guys to like land that punch on the pass rushers. Where Connerly might be a bit more of an asset, like pulling into space in like the short passing game. Certainly both face some good competition, though. Connerly out of Oregon, Simmons out of Ohio State, so coming out of the Big Ten there.
Yeah. Both great.
Like I said, wouldn't expect Washington to take an offensive tackle here. I don't know who the right tackle is. They could grab a lot of people see Connerly as a right tackle, so that could work.
We need 29th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft. The Washington Commanders select John.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oregon.
Okay.
There we go. So I'm guessing Buffalo is pretty set along the. Buffalo's already got one of the best offensive lines in the league. So doesn't mean they couldn't take Simmons here at 30 as kind of a long-term project, because again, he's still recovering from an injury. So anything's possible, but I would guess the Bills might go with maybe Travion Henderson. There's a couple of Ohio State running backs that people thought were kind of fringy first-round guys. Bills already do have James Cook and Ray Davis, but they like to run the ball clearly, and they're going a little more traditional, old-school style football. So I could see him going with another running back weapon here. Most of the receivers that people expected to be taken, McMillan, Golden, and then the Abuka from Ohio State are already taken. So I wouldn't be necessarily shocked at Simmons. I'm hoping maybe they go with Nick Scordon or one of the kind of remaining fringy edge guys. Pierce was one of those guys that I was trying to think of earlier. He, of course, Falcons traded up for him. They were loading up along the D line with Nolan and Pierce. But just one more pick until the Chiefs make their selection. We'll just hope the Bills are as set along their offensive line as I'm thinking, and they leave forward.
Buffalo's always done some good things for us in the past.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's true. McDuffie and Worthy and Mahomes for that matter. So I don't necessarily think that I don't necessarily think that the Chiefs are a lock to draft at 31 either. I still think there's a chance they could trade down if they think somebody like Simmons could be available closer to pick 40. I don't think they trade much further back than that. Hey, bud. And so that could happen. But now we've got two, every team, at least coming into tonight, we've had 3 trades now, but every team had their own first-round slotted pick.
Yeah.
That was a rarity. But now next year we'll already have 2 that are different as the Jaguars traded their first rounder next year to the Browns as part of their effort to move up from 5 to 2. And then the pick that Houston when Houston traded out to allow the Giants to move and take Dart, that did not involve next year's first rounder. But then the Falcons pick to trade into 26 did. So now the who was that traded out of pick 26? Who traded the pick to the Falcons?
The Rams.
Yeah, so they'll have the Falcons first rounder next year.
Yeah.
And then Cleveland will have Jackson.
I knew there were 2. I was like, I know there are 2, but yeah.
Are you sad Josh Connerly got drafted, Means? Are you sad? You make all sorts of noises when you're off camera, and now you're camera shy.
A silent man.
Oh, but the tail is silent.
The tail is excited.
Gonna chat with us?
Are you doing a TikTok motion with your tail there, Keen?
Oh my god, like one of the dances that people do.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I don't want to kiss on the lips.
Oh, but you do.
But you do.
Okay, the pick is in.
The Bills pick, not Josh Simmons. Not Josh Simmons.
You talk about it.
They're gonna
They jinx ourselves.
Oh my!
Now he's got something to say.
Now he does that.
You agree,
King,
right?
what do you know? Josh Simmons, right? Yeah, he agrees.
They better
Right.
not take him, huh?
Oh,
Boy,
okay, Kenny. No, get down, buddy.
we agree, Keen, not Josh Simmons.
Yep.
Go lay down.
Yep. They need to take someone else. I know. It's upsetting to think that they could. But they've been so nice to us before. They've been so nice to us before. Go see your mother.
Go see your mama.
Hey,
Go.
Go see your mom.
Come here, Ken. Come here, buddy. Don't hit the tripod. Every single dog has walked through the tripod.
I was gonna say, I think we've had every dog in frame.
Every dog in frame, but also Keen has gone through the tripod. Winnie has, and so has Bear. And I mean, Kevin does, but nobody gives a shit about that.
Yeah.
Kevin can. He's literally a worm.
And that actually is all of the dogs that Serena has. I promise there's not another one around the corner.
There's only 4.
Unless
There's
you want
only
to get
4.
me one for Christmas. Is it funny? It's not.
Very.
Trying to figure out what song they're playing. Of course it's that one.
Okay. Just don't hit your tripod.
Be good, do good, God bless, and no bills. Josh Allen. All right.
Do what?
There was a sign that said in the Bills crowd that said like, do good, be good, and God bless
We're about
the
to
Bills.
hear from Roger Goodell.
As a wish maker for Make-A-Wish.
Love.
For the second time tonight, we have the opportunity to grant a wish for a deserving young man to announce the first pick for his favorite team. Tommy.
Shout out, Tommy.
Woo.
King gets emotional if he's Make-A-Wish.
He's a 16-year-old living with a neuromuscular disorder. He's a huge Buffalo Bills fan, and he's here with me to make the announcement. Go ahead, Tommy. Let's go Buffalo! With the 30th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Buffalo Bills select Maxwell Harrison. Let's go!
And Josh Simmons.
And I was gonna say that's a cornerback.
Mm-hmm.
Say that he was the combine darling this year.
Yeah.
He's the speedster.
Oh, okay.
Makes sense. The Bills certainly need some help They really only got one solid corner in place right now in Benford at this point. The Chiefs took one of the guys that was a staple for them for a few years, and Christian Fulton, this offseason, so they needed another corner. Kyer Elam, the guy they drafted right after McDuffie, right after the Chiefs traded for McDuffie years ago, he's been a pretty big disappointment for them. Sad.
Yeah.
They passed on McDuffie and took a different guy, and it hasn't worked. Shocker.
Of course not. Trade pick, what? Yeah.
Oh, the Chiefs have traded the
Trade pick to Philadelphia.
So the Chiefs are swapping spots with Philadelphia.
I guess so.
So it looks like we got a little bit of breaking news in real time. Looks like the Chiefs and Eagles. Of course, the Eagles are drafting at 32 originally, so it looks like the Chiefs and the Eagles may have swapped picks, and the Chiefs maybe are picking on, I would guess, on day 3, probably to bridge that gap between. If they're only swapping 31 and 32, you know, the Chiefs are still getting that 5th-year option on their first-round pick. So they're probably not getting much more than a 5th, I would think.
Yeah.
But they're trying to fill in that gap on day 3. I'm assuming is what's going on here.
I'm curious to see what they're gonna do. It's almost like we won the Super Bowl though, since we're
Now we're gonna be drafting at 32. Yeah. Does this trade? Is that what happens? To trade up a pick, do they have to give us the Lombardi Trophy?
You know what? Honestly, it should work that way. So, my alert that I got says Eagles acquire pick number 31 from Chiefs for picks number 32 and 164.
There you go. So 164. So that would be, that's a 5th round pick. It would be at the very tail end because the Chiefs' 4th rounder is 133, and then don't forget you have the compensation round. So 164 would be a late 5th. It would be the Eagles' 5th rounder.
Yeah.
So there you go. So the Chiefs have bridged that gap a little bit. Now they've got pick 133 and then 164 before they have 226 in the set. So still no 6th rounder. But now a pick in every round but the 6th and then 3 in the 7th. So there we go. And they'll just have 32 instead of 31. So I assume the Chiefs feel pretty comfortable that the Eagles aren't going to take the guy they want, whoever that is. I wouldn't expect the Eagles to take Josh Simmons either, for what it's worth. The Eagles' offensive line's pretty well set in stone. They got a Hall of Famer, Lane Johnson, on the right side. Granted, he might retire soon, so it could happen. But they got Jordan Mailata, the former rugby player, as a star left tackle. Their interior is always set in stone. So Dickerson and Juergens, the 2 big guys there from the Super Bowl we remember.
Yeah.
I doubt that they would take Simmons here, but it would make sense, I guess, from a standpoint of if they're thinking somebody for the long term to fill in, it would make sense to take a guy who fell because of his injury issues, but they still believe in talent-wise. But the Eagles are also stocking up on defense all the time, and I believe they lost. Did they lose Zach Mond, a really good linebacker? I feel like he went somewhere else. Maybe they re-signed him, but they could draft a linebacker here too. I wouldn't be shocked if they, linebacker, of course, is still pretty, generally a position that you still have your pick of the litter at the end of the first round. Not too many linebackers go in the first round. Campbell from Alabama was one of the highest rated linebackers in this class. Has he been taken yet? I feel like he might still be available.
I don't think he has been taken yet.
I was gonna say, I think it's.
I thought he was projected to go way higher.
Yeah, he was. I
feel like maybe he was taken.
Maybe he did get taken. I can't remember.
I feel like he was. I don't know. I'm gonna watch the ticker.
Booker was drafted a little more highly.
Yeah.
NFL draft makes for a strange bedfellows. Kansas City and Philadelphia back in the Super Bowl.
Tyler Booker went at 12.
12 to Dallas.
To Dallas, yeah.
Eagles have moved up to 31, trading up with Kansas City. We'll get the details on the trade in just a moment. The Super Bowl champs are on the clock.
Which we have already announced those to you guys. 31 for pick 32 and 164. 5th round. And then we will find out here just in just a moment who the Eagles take with the Chiefs pick. Guess we're having another commercial break between now and then.
Of course.
I don't know. Do you have a live tracker you can pull up? My phone's doing the recording moment. Did Campbell, what was his first name? It started with a J, but he was the favorite linebacker from Alabama to be one of the first ones taken.
Jihad?
Jihad Campbell, maybe?
Yeah, Jihad Campbell. I don't think he...
So you arrive exactly where you belong.
I doubt Philadelphia would take a running back with Saquon Barkley in there. They don't have an acute need at receiver. So it could be Simmons for a long-term project on the O-line, or I wouldn't be shocked at all if Campbell, unless we're forgetting something. I think Campbell, kind of the premier linebacker out of Alabama that most people expected to be, he's kind of more of a middle linebacker type that Zach Bond was.
So Will Campbell went.
Yeah, Will Campbell's the tackle from LSU. Yeah.
No, Jahad Campbell is available.
Yeah, and like, where was he mocked on the draft board you were looking
I've got on him 16 here to the Cardinals.
Who's expected to go to the Oh, you know what? So Nolan went to. Did Walter Nolan go to the Cardinals?
Yeah.
I think I've been saying
Yeah.
Falcons. So Nolan went to the Cardinals.
Yeah, he went
Who was
to
the
the Cardinals.
Falcons' first pick then?
Wait, the Falcons' first pick.
And then make sure
that,
Everyone gets a free phone.
make sure you're looking.
that was at 15. It was Jalen.
Okay, so they took two Georgia edges. They took Walker and Pierce.
Wolves knows it's easier to make the right calls when you
Jalen Walker and James.
Both out of Georgia, I
He's
believe.
from Tennessee.
Oh, Pierce is?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So still are bulking up their defensive line, but thought they'd grab Nolan there, so Nolan went to Arizona.
Very curious to see who the Eagles pick is.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's either going to be Simmons or Campbell. Those are my two guesses. So it's Jay Ha. Is that what you said? Jay?
It's spelled Jih. Am I funny? I guess we'll find out when he gets drafted how his name is pronounced.
This has got to be damn near at first. The two Super Bowl teams swapping first-round picks.
Yeah.
Not a really large trade, of course. It just involves the Eagles throwing in a fifth-rounder. So basically, it's just Brett Veach bridging that large gap of picks more than it is.
And we really
obviously-
didn't lose much
Yeah,
of
it
anything.
didn't really lose any ground unless the Eagles snagged somebody they wanted. But
31st pick to the
Yeah.
Philadelphia Eagles.
I would assume if the Chiefs thought they would, they
The
would.
31st pick in the 2025 NFL Draft. The Philadelphia Eagles select Jahad.
There you go.
Jahad
Campbell,
Campbell.
Alabama. I'm almost certain I got that one right. He is from
Yeah.
Alabama, correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, he is.
Now, SEC schools, they all just have stud defenders. All right, well, I think the stage is all set for the Chiefs to draft Josh Simmons, or they could go a different route. We have had JT and Omari and Hampton, the two kind of consensus top of the first round backs go. Hampton lasted all the way to 22 to the Chargers, I believe. So, I guess they could go Travion Henderson or one of the Ohio's. I can't remember who the other Ohio State running back is. If you see another Ohio State, do you see an Ohio State running back on your mock draft board there? But yeah, Travion Henderson is one of them. So I mean, look, we have PTSD from drafting a running back at 32. I won't be upset, but I wouldn't say it's an acute enough need to draft this highly, so I would hope that's not the move. Yeah, he's one of them, and there's another one, but he might or may not have been on that board because most people had it going in the second round.
I was gonna say I'm looking back here.
And in fact, he might have transferred out of Ohio State by the time this year.
Quinshawn Jack.
Yes. Yeah. Is he from Ohio State too?
Yeah.
Okay. And running back.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So either of those. So
This one's not good at 55.
50. Yeah. So late second round.
Yeah.
So what's his name again? Keyshawn Jenkins.
Quinshawn Judkins.
Oh, Kin.
Inshon.
Yeah. So maybe Kinshawn. Yeah. So either Henderson or Jenkins. Probably not Jenkins. Henderson's the more highly rated one. I suppose I'd be okay with that. I don't think it'll be an interior offensive lineman. Most of the first round talents are gone there.
Chiefs pick is in.
It could another dark horse, another edge. A Boston College edge named Donovan Ezaraku is another highly rated one that hasn't gone yet. He's known as kind of a pass rushing specialist. So suppose it could be him. I would be a little surprised at that, but that's very much a possibility as well. So
This one has him going to the, is it 32?
which he obviously did not happen. So those are going to be my two guesses. I'm going to guess it's either going to be Ezaraku or Josh Simmons, maybe Travion Henderson or Luther Burden would be the darkest of the dark horses, but I wouldn't expect that.
This takes us down to the state.
We love that though.
Oh, okay, never mind. We're hearing from Todd Campbell first.
Yeah. So Chiefs pick just went
in, so it'll be announced in a bit. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are. I'm gonna say Josh Simmons is by far and away the one I would expect the most and be the most excited about. would be okay with Ezra-Raku. Haven't studied a ton about him, but he's kind of a pass rushing DN out of Boston College, so he, wouldn't have faced quite the quality of competition as some of these other guys. So I'm certainly more of a projection there. I guess I wouldn't be blown away at Travion Henderson. They really do seem to be trying to add more speed, and they do need to rejuvenate the running back room. So if they really think he's the best player available, not what I would do at the first round with that fifth-year option being so important, but wouldn't be necessarily stunned if that's how Brett Veach decides to go. And then Luther Burden, would have just been giddy if he was available at 32 a year ago. Stock might have dropped a little bit. And as much as I like him in Chiefs uniform, and I think they'd find a lot of good things to do with him, I'm not sure he really fits the true need they have at receiver remaining. The guy they have left the need they have left, the roster spot they have left, if you will, is kind of that bigger bodied route running slant receiver, which is where Burton is kind of a cross between Rice and Worthy.
Yes.
He's not quite the speed of Worthy, a little better hands, but kind of has the quickness, that explosion like Worthy, and then kind of like Rice is known for breaking tackles and yards after the catch. So maybe not quite fitting the Chiefs system there, but those would be kind of my four. And, lo and behold, they're probably going to draft a guy I haven't even talked about yet. I mentioned Nick Skirton. That's another defensive end like Ezra-Raku that could be on the board, though he seemed to slip out of first-round consideration. So I'm going to guess most likely either Josh Simmons, offensive tackle from Ohio State, or Donovan Ezra-Raku, defensive end from Boston College.
Derek Thomas jersey.
What position are you hoping for?
Tackle.
You want Simmons, I assume?
Yeah, we need to protect Patrick.
Yep.
He's not old, but he's older in football years.
He's taken too many hits the last 2 years.
Yes,
So there's
yeah.
just no.
Yeah, there's been no consistency, nothing, it's just been a problem. If we can pinpoint one huge issue with the team is the tackle.
Yep.
That's we need to start there.
Some people might, if it is Josh Simmons, some people might hear that pick and go, you know what? I don't care what they'll go.
Yeah.
We're gonna
2025 NFL Draft. The Kansas City Chiefs select Josh Simmons.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Good pick. Why are you thumbsing down? Fuck off. Fuck off. Great choice.
All right, I was gonna say, what I was just about to say before the bell rang is I can see some people reacting to this pick like, oh man, he may not even be able to play for a year. But you know what? I call that a good thing because, we saw it with Kingsley Somalia last year. It's just not a move unless, now if the Chiefs had done something crazy and they traded all the way up to get Will Campbell, the LSU tackle that went fourth, okay, sure, plug him right in there. Let's start him. But, they did spend some money on Jalen Moore, who they said is going to be the left tackle for the moment. They've got Jawan Taylor under contract for another year.
Yeah.
So they didn't necessarily have an immediate need. They just had a long-term need.
Yeah,
I think this fills it perfectly.
Yeah, I think a big problem is pushing rookies into starting too quickly.
Yeah.
There's no time for development. Patrick he had a year, his rookie year, he was under the tutelage of Alex Smith. And look how far he's gone. Whereas somebody like Bryce Young was just chucked into this shit. And, you failed.
And it can work. Rashee Rice did some cool things as a rookie. He would probably carry the Chiefs offense to that second Super Bowl.
Yes, but
and Worthy was a nice player, but how much better could those guys have been with more time?
One more year to soak it in, to learn before they're thrown into this position, and then they've got all this bad juju because
Smith-Schuster?
Yeah. What a guy. No.
He's back.
Yeah. That's one thing is I feel like him and Hardman and MVS
Hardman is so McCall Hardman and Justin Watson both signed elsewhere.
Yeah.
So Smith-Schuster and then Hopkins also left. So Smith-Schuster is really the only returning veteran receiver. I believe.
I think so.
I do think they'll be tomorrow here on day 2 of the draft they have 2 picks they have 2 picks. Wait a minute. No, so one of them's an early third. So tomorrow they'll just have 1 pick. Tomorrow they just have pick 63, and then they'll have one of the first picks on day 3 of pick. Or no, see, I can never remember that. Day 2 might actually be second and third round.
Yeah.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
So tomorrow they will have 2 picks. They'll have one late in the second, and then one right after that. 63 and 66 are the picks, and then they would have 3 total because of pick number 95 toward the very end of the third round. So they'll have 3 picks tomorrow. So look at that. We call it in real time as the Chiefs draft Josh Simmons, offensive tackle out of Ohio State, to be Patrick Mahomes' blindside protector in the future. So that'll wrap it up for our first round coverage of the NFL draft. I'll give you guys some reactions to their day 2 and 3 picks this weekend. I think we're going to record with the boys on Sunday as well. So stay tuned to the Calling It How I See It Sports Pod.